There are 3 sounds that should never be heard together the day before your wedding: crying, your fiancé's voice, and your sister's name. But Lin Xiao heard all 3. What she discovered in that hallway didn't just destroy her fairy tale. It put her in the path of someone who changed her life. But here's what nobody saw coming: the accident that almost killed her. But it wasn't the worst thing that happened that day. 24 hours before saying "I do," Lin Xiao was living the dream most women would want for themselves. Designer dress? Check. 5-star venue? Check. Handsome fiancé from a respected family? Check. But there was one thing missing from this perfect picture, something Xiao couldn't quite name: a feeling. She ignored it. That was her first mistake. The Grand Beijing Hotel had 12 event halls. Xiao's wedding was in the Phoenix Ballroom, the crown jewel, the one brides waited years to book. She'd spent the morning doing final checks: seating arrangements, peonies and orchid centerpieces, lighting cues. Everything had to be perfect for tomorrow. Everything had to go exactly as planned. Her fiancé, Zhang Wei, had texted her an hour ago: handling some last-minute family stuff. See you at dinner. Love you. Family stuff. That's what he called it. Xiao was walking past the Dragon Hall, 3 doors down from her own venue, when she heard it. Crying. She should have kept walking. She had 100 things left to do. But then she heard the voice trying to comfort whoever was crying. A male voice. A voice she knew better than anyone. Xiao's hand trembled as she reached for the door handle of the Dragon Hall. It's nothing, she told herself. Wei is helping someone. That's who he is. That's why you love him. But her gut screamed something different. The door was slightly ajar. She could see movement through the crack. 2 figures. Too close. She pushed it open another inch. Here's what should have been impossible. Her fiancé, Zhang Wei, stood in that empty hall holding someone in his arms, whispering to them, stroking their hair with the same tenderness he'd shown Xiao 1,000 times. But the impossible part wasn't what he was doing. It was who he was doing it to. Lin Yue, please stop crying, Wei whispered. Lin Yue, Xiao's younger sister, her maid of honor, the girl who'd helped her pick out the dress, plan the honeymoon, address the invitations. Xiao's breath caught in her throat that she couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't look away. Wei cupped Yue's face in his hands. You know marrying her doesn't change anything, he said, his voice thick with emotion Xiao had never heard him use with her. You're the love of my life, Yue. You always have been. Xiao's mind went blank. This isn't happening. This can't be happening. Then Wei said, tomorrow is just a formality, a business arrangement our families expect. But after the wedding, after things settle down, we can be together the way we're supposed to be. No more hiding. I promise. And then he kissed her. The kiss told Xiao everything she needed to know. This wasn't new. This was a choice they'd been making for God knows how long. The next sound that came out of Xiao wasn't planned. It was pure primal rage, a scream that echoed through the empty hall and shattered the intimate moment between her fiancé and her sister. You bastard! Wei and Yue jerked apart, eyes wide with shock. Yue's face went white. GJ, don't, Xiao's voice shook. Don't you dare say my name. Wei stepped forward, hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. Xiao, listen, this isn't what it looks like. You just said I'm a business arrangement. Xiao didn't wait for excuses. She didn't wait for lies. She turned and ran, her embroidered silk slippers clicking against the marble floor, her vision blurred by tears. Behind her, she heard Wei shout, Xiao, wait, let me explain. But there was nothing to explain. She'd heard everything she needed to hear. She ran past the Phoenix Ballroom, past the flowers, the red and gold decorations, the double happiness symbols that were supposed to make tomorrow magical. None of it was important now. Wei's footsteps pounded behind her, getting closer. "Xiao, stop, please!" But Xiao was faster. Anger makes you fast. Heartbreak makes you faster. She burst through the hotel's front doors into the twilight air, gasping, her lungs burning. The valet parking area was busy, cars coming and going, guests arriving for evening events. She didn't care. She just ran, straight into the street. Here's the thing about tragedy. It happens in the space between heartbeats. 1 second, you're running from the worst moment of your life. The next second, you hear the screech of tires, screaming, and then utter darkness. Xiao didn't feel the car hit her. She felt the ground, cold, hard. Voices surrounded her, distant, like she was underwater. "Oh my God! Someone call an ambulance! She came out of nowhere!" Xiao tried to open her eyes, but the world spun violently. Pain radiated through her body in waves. "Don't move her," a male voice, deep and commanding. "We don't know if her spine—" "Mr. Chen, I'm so sorry. She ran right out." "I don't care about the car. Xiao Lu, get her in the back seat. Now." Through the haze of pain, Xiao heard the conversation above her. "Sir, we should wait for the ambulance. By the time they navigate this traffic, she could bleed out. Beijing Union Hospital is 4 minutes away. Drive." Strong arms lifted her, careful, gentle, but urgent. "Stay with me," the commanding voice said. "Closer now. Can you hear me? What's your name?" Xiao tried to answer, but her tongue felt thick, heavy. The last thing she remembered before the darkness took her was a face hovering above hers, sharp jawline, dark eyes filled with genuine concern. When Xiao woke, the first thing she noticed was the beeping, steady, rhythmic, a heart monitor. The second thing was the pain, dull, manageable, but everywhere. The third thing was the man sitting in the chair beside her hospital bed. Not Wei. A stranger in an expensive Tom Ford suit, his tie loosened, his dark hair slightly disheveled. He was on his phone, speaking in low, clipped tones. "I don't care what the board thinks. Reschedule it. Something came up. No, I'll explain later." He glanced at Xiao and their eyes met. He immediately ended the call. "You're awake," he said, leaning forward. "How do you feel?" Xiao's throat was dry. "Like I got hit by a car." A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "Technically, my car hit you. I'm Chen Yifan." Chen. The name triggered something in Xiao's memory. Chen Industries, one of the largest business empires in Beijing. She'd read about them in the society pages. But that meant, "You're the second son," Xiao whispered. His expression flickered with something. "I prefer Yifan," he said simply. "And you are?" Xiao hesitated. "I'm Lin Xiao," her voice cracked. He nodded, stood up, and poured chrysanthemum tea from the thermos on the bedside table, holding the cup while she drank. "The doctor said you have a concussion and some nasty bruising, but you'll heal. Physically, at least." The way he said physically told Xiao he knew. He knew this wasn't just about the accident. "Your phone won't stop ringing," Yifan said, nodding towards the bedside table where her cracked phone buzzed relentlessly. 43 missed calls. Someone named Zhang Wei, someone named Lin Yue. Your mother called 6 times. Xiao's stomach twisted. "I don't want to talk to them." "You don't have to," Yifan said simply. "But they're in the waiting room. The hospital staff can only hold them off before." The door burst open. Wei stood there, Yue right behind them, both looking disheveled and frantic. "Xiao!" Wei rushed towards the bed, but Yifan stepped between them. "She's resting," he said, his voice dangerously calm. "The doctor said no visitors." Wei's eyes narrowed. "And who the hell are you?" "I'm the man whose car hit her," Yifan said, not backing down an inch, "because she ran into traffic. Care to explain what she was running from?" Wei's jaw clenched. "This is a private family matter." "I'm not your family!" Xiao's voice cracked through the room like thunder. Everyone froze. Xiao struggled to sit up, ignoring the pain screaming through her ribs. "You lost the right to call me family the moment you kissed my sister." Ye burst into tears. "Jie, please, let me explain." "Explain what, Ye?" Xiao's laugh was bitter. "Explain how long you've been sleeping with my fiancé? Explain how you helped me plan a wedding to a man you're in love with? Explain how you were going to be my maid of honor while secretly being his mistress?" The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Wei spoke. "You were never supposed to find out like this," he said quietly. Xiao stared at him. "That's what you have to say? That I wasn't supposed to find out?" Xiao tried to stand, but Yifan gently pushed her back down. "Easy," he murmured. "Your rib." Wei's eyes flickered to Yifan with something like suspicion. "Who is this guy? Why is he even here?" Ye finally spoke, her voice small. "We didn't mean for it to happen, Jie. We fell in love, but by the time we realized, you and Wei were already engaged, and our families had already announced." "So you decided to just let me marry him anyway?" Xiao's voice broke. "You were going to let me promise my life to someone who loves you?" "The marriage is important. Calling off the wedding would have—" "Get out," Xiao whispered. "Xiao, get out!" She screamed it this time, and something in Yifan's posture changed. He turned to Wei and Ye, and when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of authority, the kind that comes from growing up in boardrooms. "She asked you to leave. Either you walk out or security escorts you out. Your choice." Wei opened his mouth to argue, but something in Yifan's eyes stopped him. Ye lingered, tears streaming down her face. "Jie, I'm so sorry. You're my sister." "No," Xiao said quietly. "I don't have a sister. Not anymore." Ye flinched like she'd been slapped, then turned and fled. When the door closed behind them, Xiao finally let herself break. After several minutes, Xiao's sobs quieted. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You don't need to stay. You've done enough." "I hit you with my car," Yifan said dryly. "I think I'm obligated to make sure you survive the night." Despite everything, Xiao almost smiled. "It wasn't your fault. I ran into the street." "Why?" The question was soft, but it demanded truth. Xiao told him everything. "I was so stupid. There were signs, so many signs, but I ignored them." "That doesn't make you stupid," Yifan said quietly. "It makes you human." "I don't even know what happens now. The wedding's tomorrow. My parents will be devastated. Everyone will ask questions, and I'll have to explain that my fiancé and my sister—" Her voice broke again. Yifan was quiet for a moment, then said, "What if you didn't have to explain anything?" Xiao looked up at him confused. "What?" Yifan leaned forward, his dark eyes intense. "What if, instead of canceling the wedding and dealing with the fallout, you went through with it?" Xiao's heart stopped. "You can't be serious. After what they did?" "Not with Wei, with me," interrupted Yifan. The room went completely silent. "With you?" Xiao whispered. "A contract marriage," Yifan said, his business mind clearly working. 2 years, you avoid the humiliation and scandal. I get—" He hesitated. "What do you get?" Xiao asked, genuinely confused. "My father's will has a clause," Yifan admitted. "To inherit my portion of Chen Industries, I need to be married by my 30th birthday, which is in 3 months. "That's archaic," Xiao said. "My older brother Chen Yifan is already married, so he gets his shares. But me, if I don't marry, my shares revert to the company board." "So you need a wife," Xiao said slowly. "And you need a husband," Yifan countered. "Or at least you need a wedding to happen tomorrow so you don't have to explain to 200 guests why yours was canceled." It was insane, completely insane. "This is crazy," Xiao whispered. "Probably," Yifan agreed. "But is it crazier than marrying a man who's in love with your sister?" 1 year, Yifan said, laying out the terms like a business deal. We get married tomorrow, I'll handle the logistics, tell your family Wei backed out and I stepped in. We maintain the appearance of a real marriage in public. After 1 year, we divorce quietly. You get freedom from scandal and compensation. I get my inheritance. And in private? Xiao asked. Separate lives, Yifan said firmly, separate bedrooms. You're free to pursue your own interests, your career, whatever you want. This is purely practical. There's something you're not telling me, Xiao said, studying Yifan's face. This is too convenient, too perfect. What aren't you saying? Yifan's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. There's a woman, Yifan admitted finally. Wang Meiling, our families have been pushing us toward marriage for years, and our union would create a merger that would reshape Beijing's economy. But you don't love her? Xiao guessed. I don't even like her, Yifan said bluntly. There was a long silence. Then Xiao took a breath and asked, when do we sign? Yifan pulled out his phone and made 3 calls. First, to his lawyer. I need a prenuptial agreement drawn up by morning, ironclad. Both parties walk away with exactly what they came in with after 1 year. Second, to his assistant. The wedding at the Grand Beijing Hotel tomorrow, it's still happening, but the groom has changed. Handle the paperwork and inform the officiant. I don't care what strings you have to pull. Third, to someone Xiao couldn't identify. It's done. Tell mother the marriage clause will be satisfied. When he hung up, he turned to Xiao. There's one more thing you need to know, Yifan said, his expression serious. My family is complicated. My mother is ruthless. My older brother, Yihao, is always looking for ways to undermine me, and Mei Ling won't take this quietly. She'll see you as an enemy. Will they make my life hell? Xiao asked. They'll try, Yifan admitted, but here's the thing. I don't lose. Ever. And once you're my wife, contract or not, you're under my protection. Xiao was discharged from the hospital at 6 a.m. Yifan had arranged everything, a private car, a team of stylists to meet her at a luxury suite at the Grand Beijing Hotel, and a completely new white wedding dress, more beautiful than her original one. As the stylist worked on her hair and makeup, Xiao caught sight of herself in the mirror. She looked beautiful. 5 minutes, Miss Lin, one of the stylists said gently. The Phoenix ballroom looked exactly as Xiao had planned. Red peonies, crystal chandeliers, golden lanterns. 200 guests filled the seats, whispering to each other in confusion. Where was Sheng Wei? Who was this Chen Yifan? What was happening? Xiao's mother was in the front row, dabbing at her eyes, whether from joy or stress, Xiao couldn't tell. Her father stood at the end of the aisle, looking bewildered but trying to maintain face. And at the altar, in a perfectly tailored suit, stood Yifan. The ceremony was a blur. Xiao heard the officiant's words as if from a distance. Do you, Lin Xiao, take this man? Xiao looked into Yifan's eyes. I do, Xiao said clearly. And do you, Chen Yifan, take this woman? I do, Yifan said, never breaking eye contact with Xiao. Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss. Yifan leaned in, and Xiao's breath caught. Why did her heart race when his lips touched her? And why did the kiss last 3 seconds longer than necessary? At the reception, as Xiao and Yifan cut the massive wedding cake for the cameras and smiled for photos, Xiao felt her phone vibrate. A text from an unknown number made her freeze. Congratulations on your marriage, Xiao. There are things about Chen Yifan you need to know, things he'll never tell you. Xiao looked up at Yifan, who was charming a group of his business associates with effortless grace. What had she gotten herself into? And more importantly, what wasn't he telling her?